The night started like any other episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, with a packed audience, bright lights, and laughter echoing through the studio. But no one could have predicted the storm that was about to unfold. Nicolás Maduro, the controversial President of Venezuela, had been invited as a guest, an unusual and provocative choice. Viewers tuned in expecting a curious mix of politics and entertainment, maybe even a few uncomfortable questions. What they got instead was a surreal, explosive showdown that would go viral within minutes and make international headlines by morning. As Maduro walked on stage, the mood shifted. There was polite applause, but a subtle tension hung in the air. Kimmel, ever the professional, welcomed him with charm, attempting to keep the tone light, but Maduro didn't come to play nice. Right from the first question, he was confrontational. When Kimmel asked about Venezuela's recent economic crisis, Maduro lashed out, accusing the American media of spreading lies. The audience, caught between confusion and disbelief, went silent. Kimmel tried to steer the conversation, but Maduro wouldn't let up. Things escalated quickly. Maduro slammed his fists on the table and began shouting about imperialism and CIA conspiracies. He called out multiple U.S. presidents by name and accused Kimmel himself of being part of a media cartel. Jimmy, now visibly tense, reminded Maduro that this was a comedy show, not a political tribunal. But Maduro refused to tone down. Cameras caught the nervous glances between producers backstage. A few audience members even started booing, unsure if what they were witnessing was real or some bizarre scripted stunt. Kimmel attempted to regain control, cutting to a commercial early. But even off-air, the chaos didn't stop. Maduro reportedly refused to stay in his seat, pacing around the set and continuing his tirade. A backstage mic picked up some of his rants, which were later leaked online. Security was quietly positioned near the edge of the set. When the show resumed, Kimmel tried one last time to reset the mood, offering Maduro a chance to explain his views in a calmer tone. Instead, Maduro doubled down and began attacking American culture itself. "You people," Maduro snapped, pointing at the audience, "you mock our pain. You drink your coffee while my people suffer, and you laugh like it's a game." The audience turned hostile. Boos erupted. Some stood and walked out. Kimmel took off his glasses and sighed. "Okay, that's enough," he said. "We tried to have a conversation, but this is clearly not the place or the way to do it." At that moment, something unprecedented happened. A producer stepped on stage mid-show, leaned into Kimmel's ear, and gave him the green light. "We're ending this segment early," Kimmel announced. "Mr. Maduro, thank you for coming, but this interview is over." The crowd burst into applause, not in support of Kimmel's guest, but in relief. Maduro stood up, stunned, and for a moment it looked like he might refuse to leave. But security calmly approached, and he was guided off stage without incident. The cameras stayed wide, avoiding close-ups as the scene wrapped up. Kimmel smiled, awkwardly. "Well, that was definitely not what we expected tonight. We'll be right back with someone a lot less angry." The fallout was immediate. Social media exploded. Clips of the confrontation went viral, with hashtags like #Maduro meltdown and the Kimmel chaos trending worldwide. Commentators from every political angle weighed in. Some criticized Kimmel for inviting Maduro in the first place. Others praised him for holding his ground and protecting the tone of his show. Late-night TV had never seen anything quite like it. A head of state being cut off live on air for completely losing control. And while Maduro returned to his hotel without further incident, his team refused all media requests. In Caracas, the Venezuelan government accused ABC of public humiliation and disrespecting a sovereign leader. State-run media spun the incident as an example of American arrogance, but the clips spoke for themselves. Maduro wasn't censored. He combusted on his own. In the US, comedians and pundits debated whether politics still had a place in late-night comedy. But one thing was clear: Maduro's attempt at controlling the narrative backfired spectacularly. Instead of coming off strong, he appeared erratic and unable to handle even basic questions. The next day, ABC released a formal statement backing Kimmel and reaffirming the show's editorial independence. "Our hosts are free to ask tough questions, and our audience deserves respectful dialogue. Mr. Maduro was unable to provide either." The statement ended with a note that the network had no plans to re-air the segment. Meanwhile, late-night writers had a field day roasting the incident across shows. Memes, remixes, and parody videos flooded YouTube and TikTok. It wasn't just news anymore, it was a pop culture earthquake. And as for Kimmel, he addressed the incident briefly on the following night's show. "We bring on guests from all walks of life," he said. "But I think we learned something important last night. Some people just aren't ready for prime time." The audience laughed, but the moment carried weight. In an age where truth and spectacle often blur, Kimmel's refusal to let chaos reign sent a strong message. And for Nicolás Maduro, what began as a PR gamble turned into a televised implosion he'll never live down.